What's going on YouTube? Sharn51 here, coming at you with an updated deck profile today. Today I'm going to be using my laptop for this. I was doing it for my previous video, but I couldn't really get it oriented right. I'd have to like hold the cards up in the air like this, and it was just weird. So I don't know. I finally found a way I could put it to where I can like use both hands in a video. But anyway, I know it's been a while since I last uploaded, and I apologize. There's just a lot going on right now for me. I know there's school, and there's a lot of extracurricular things that I'm doing right now that just kind of interfere with me making videos. But enough story time. Let's get right into the deck. It's going to be Gladiator Beast, as you may have seen in the title. We'll get started with one bestiary. I don't know how well you can. Yeah, you can tell if that's bestiary, I think. Yeah, it's kind of hard because it's like oriented so weird that I can't even see my own screen right now. But yeah, one bestiary because you need it. I also play one Gladiator Beast Rediari, just for the fact that like against Boujins you can remove their turtles and their Quillins and whatever else you don't like, and against other things like the newfound Insectors that have been roaming around, this gets rid of that whole issue. And even against like Fire Fist, it's good. Like, it's good for removing from play their targets for Dragon. Like you just start removing their bears so they can't get them back or something like that, and it removes the Wolfbark targets. There's just a lot of decks that this card has an advantage in. Next, 3 Laquari. Pretty standard. I mean, it's the best Gladiator Beast that you can ever have in your hand, next to Bestiari. So you gotta play 3 of them because he's your beater. 1 Murmillo. I mean, I've had this card in and out of the deck. I've been playing the deck for a few months now, and to be honest, like I still don't know how I feel about it because every time I play, sometimes I will draw him, and that's the last thing you ever want with him is to have him drawn. But that's common knowledge. But he's still good. Like nonetheless, he's still good. Next, 2 Gladiator Beast of Quest. Brings back your War Chariots, brings back your monsters, and you just need it. The 1 Darius. I don't know. I considered playing 2, but to be honest, like 1 works just fine. It really does. For a little tech right here, 2 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Bear. The reason I play Bear is because I do play Tenkies and stuff in here, so I want to be able to search them, and I also want to be able to just pop their monsters and put pressure on the board with just 1 monster. Like, there's been games where Bear just dominates it because, like, if you have protective back row and a Bear, and you keep inflicting damage and plussing, and then you can just start popping their monsters, it really just adds up, and it's hard to get over. The last monster I play is 1 of Thunder King because it's at 1, and this card right here is like the star player. It really it does so much for the deck, and I mean, yeah, there are some conflictions, but you obviously wouldn't activate them when you have Thunder King, or you would play them before you summon him. So that's the monster lineup. For the spells, my tech spells are 2 Fire Formation Gyoku. The format's shaped up to a lot of back row, and I want to be able to stop it before it could even be activated or chained, because a lot of people have been picking up like Reckless Greeds and stuff as a tech in their deck, and to be honest, I don't really like them having that, so I'd rather them just like start wasting all their stuff on a chain. Like they'll have to waste they'll have to like prematurely waste a Compulse to then chain their Fiend, or to then chain their Reckless Greed to draw them 2 cards, or they'll have to waste a Reckless Greed that they have set to then chain whatever else they had that was like maybe like a Compulse or what have you. Just random things like that where you need to waste something else to be able to like get around this card, and a lot of people don't want to MST it either, so it's pretty good. 2 Fire Formation Tenki. I don't want to play 3. I don't need 3. Another thing that I've learned while playing this deck is that you do not need a whole bunch of search cards, because the last thing you want to do is have a handful of monsters. You want like monster on board, a monster on deck in your hand, and back row. That's all. Like, you do not want a handful of like 4 monsters, 2 back row. That is not what you want to draw into. I've tested Proving Ground. I've tested it at 2. I've tested this card at 3. I've tested a whole bunch of other things. But to be honest, the times that I've tested that, I have lost because I continually draw them, and it's like if I draw that, I consider it to be equivalent to drawing a monster. It is really that bad, and I do not want that to ever happen again. It is terrible, and so I'd say just like take my word on it. It's really not a good idea to play like the Proving Grounds. You'd rather not draw monsters and just draw back row for a few turns than to continuously draw monsters and not be able to save them, because that's what Gladiators are right now. There's not enough weak monsters in the game anymore to where you can just summon the monster and then attack, and there's not the back row to defend it, or the monster's weak enough to be able to attack and get a free attack. Unless the monster's in defense position, obviously, but usually that's the case in mermails, and you don't want to attack into their lens. One Book of Moon, because Book of Moon it's phenomenal, this format, and it's been phenomenal for a lot of formats. 2 Lance. I'm considering upping it to 3 because this card is easily like one of my favorite cards in the deck, just because like it's done so much for me, and Lance is just an amazing card in general. Next, 3 Pot of Duality. That's like the last. I think that's the last conflicting card with Thunder King in the deck. Yeah, it is. So I mean, you have 2 Tenkies and 3 Dualities. Those are like your only confliction in the deck. But to be honest, like Duality, it gives the deck consistency. It can give you monsters. It can give you spells, traps, whatever you need, and you don't always have to special summon. So yeah, 3 Duality. The 1 of Dark Hole, because right now since dragons are kind of gone, well, I want to say they're gone. You don't have to worry about much. Dark Hole just kind of solves the problems of like them having a full board and you can't really deal with it. You're playing against things like, you can even still play it against Evil Swarm because you make them waste their Pandemic, and then they're like, oh, alright, and then you just chain something else to get rid of their guy. And then the last 2 spells are 2 MST. I had the card at 3, and I did love the card at 3, I just don't really want to make the deck 41. And to be honest, I mean, the cards, you can go without 3 MST in this deck, especially with how defensive I've made it, and this is like fairly different build than I've had recently, and it's been testing a lot better. It's been way more consistent. For the traps, the obligatory 3 Gladiator Beast War Chariot. You need War Chariot in this deck. It is not an option to have any less than 3, because with Inzectors running around, this is your answer to Inzectors. This is also your answer to any remaining Dragon players. This is the answer to Heretic players. This is the answer to Bujin players. They can't chain Turtle to this card. So no matter what they do, and it's the answer to Mermail players, and in some cases Evil Swarm, but they cannot do anything to this card unless they have like a Dark Bribe or a 7 Tools. And most of the time, if they waste a 7 Tools on this card, well, they just paid 1,000 life points and you paid none. So, I mean, you kind of plus a little bit, and then you can always request this back. And if you have a second one, then it's just all the better. 2 Horn of the Phantom Beast. I was testing 3, and 3 was good, but I feel like it's just you see it a little bit like you don't want 3 because you don't really play enough monsters to say that 3 is you don't need that many. Next, 2 Fiendish Chain, because it's been one of the star cards in like every format, in my opinion, just because this card stops monster effects and it stops attacks, and they have to waste MST on it, and they either have to, if you do it on an Exceed monster, they can't just like overlay with the monster. They're kind of just stuck with it. And I've kind of been trying this card out too recently. I've been hearing a lot from Turk the Pally on it, and I mean, like, I don't think you need 3. But I do agree that this card has been putting in work. I remember I was at locals, and every time I had this card, I negated either an Abyss Sphere, a warning, and I think that's it. And I used this card 3 times that day. So I negated 2 warnings and an Abyss Sphere that day. And it was the best feeling in the world to know that I just stopped their one answer. Next, 1 Solemn Warning. You need it. Compulse, Bottomless. Move this over. 2 Mirror Force. I chose to run 2 Mirror Force in the main over 2 Deep Prison because I am also going to try that one thing where you just main the Mirror Forces, side the Deep Prisons, and then you swap them out game 2 just so then you catch them off guard. That kind of thing. I'm gonna try that out. Then one torrential to round out the deck. You need torrential. For the extra deck, I'm not going to go over too much. One Gladiator Klinos. You can only play one. You should only play one, and you only need one. 3 Gazaris. It's the same reason why I feel like you should play 3 Ophion. If they somehow get rid of 2, you have the third one just in case. I never go into the extra deck for anything else really anyway, but you know. 1 Gladiator Beast Asadari because it's good. 1 Bujinte Kagetsuchi because you can make it and it protects itself. It's kind of like just Zen mains, but 2500 attack Zen mains equals better. 1 Ice Beat Zero Fine. If I could ever make this card and they have a pretty sizable field, this card will be great. 1 Cowboy. Cowboy won me a couple games. 1 Black Ship Corn because it's good. 1 Utopia because you can. Photon Papilloperative because if they ever have something in defense mode you don't know what it is and you can just kill them that turn, sometimes it's better to make that. 1 Gemini Pearl, 1 Maestroke, 1 Fortune Tune just in case you need it. Can't be targeted, so why not? And 1 Leviathan Dragon. That's the extra deck. To be honest, like Leviathan Dragon and these guys, you're never gonna make them, but if you ever have the opportunity to make them, it's probably best that you just have them in case. And I'll go on to the side deck for you guys. The side deck's actually a little bit different than what most people would consider for like this deck, but 1 Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer because it's Kaiku and it's really good against Bujins and a lot of other decks, and I've been siding it in, and every time I side it in, it puts in a lot of work. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it really does. These are just tokens, by the way. There's nothing important about these. In case you're wondering. This card honestly puts in a lot of work, and I adore this card on the side. I don't want to play any more than 1, but I do like it at 1. 1 Sam Knight, just in case I feel like I need it. I mean, like, for me, I'm one of those people where if I don't have it in the main deck, I want it off to the side in case I want to put it in, so I just want to put this in the side deck just in case. The third Fire Formation Gyokkou is in the side as well. In case I'm playing against the back row heavy deck, this card is coming in. Defissure. It's probably going to go in against... well, no. I put Defissure in against Mermails, and it does do a lot of work. What sucked is I play against Mermails. They have the MST for it, and then I flip up a Soul Drain, and then they have Heavy Infantry while I have Thunder King, and then they have the Heavy Infantry plus the Chainable MST. So that's what happens when you play against Mermails, guys. So just be careful about that because they always have infantry and everything else for days, and the MSTs when they need them. So when you play against Mermails, make sure that you tell them to side those cards out because they're bad. Just kidding. It's so annoying. I play 3 Smashing Ground on the side just because it's really good against any kind of like tier 2 deck. It's good against Constellars. It's good against Bujin. It's really good against Bujin. Bujin's, in my opinion, is kind of like tier 1.5 because it's not really like it's not there yet with the new support, but it will be soon. But this card kills Bujins because they can't respond to it. There's nothing they can play that responds to it unless they play Lance, and most of them don't play Lance, or they might, and they just like 1 Safe Zone. It's really good against Inzectors because you play against Inzectors and they go pop, and then you're like Safe Zone, and then they cry. It's pretty good. The third Horn in case I need it. The 1 Soul Drain against Mermails, and it's also good for Bujins because they can't use their Quillins or their Turtles. Then the 2 Deep Prisoner on the side. The 2 Iron Wall are in the side. The reason why is because it's really, really, really good against Bujins. And it's really good against Prophecy because when they go for High Priestess and you have this, it's like they can make it, but they're not going to use its effect. They're not going to use her effect, and they're not going to use Fate. So then they're just kind of empty searching, in my opinion. Like, that's what the deck does, is like it empty searches until you reach your Fate, and then your Fate kind of does the work for you. And that's what I don't like about the deck, like, because that's all it is, just empty search, and then like it win an advantage or something like that, and it's ridiculous. And then the last card is 1 Horn of the Black Horn of Heaven, just for things like Constellars, Evil Swarm, stuff like that. I'm hitting the 15-minute mark in like 7 seconds, so Thanks for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. Leave some feedback and thanks. Peace out, YouTube.